I'm Nancy Nicholson. I'm with the North Shore Senior Center, and we have offices in Evanston, Morton Grove, and Northfield. Morton Grove has wonderful programs and classes. I want to tell you a little bit about some of our other services that you may not be aware of. And I'm going to start doing that by telling you a couple of stories. And when I finish the stories, I'll tell you what they have in common and how we get to happy endings for these stories. The first story is about Joe and Harriet. Lived together 54 years of wonderful marriage, getting ready to retire. Joe is looking forward to gardening and traveling, Harriet to cooking gourmet meals, and Joe's looking forward to eating those meals. But then Harriet starts to change. She's forgetting what day of the week it is, what her appointments are. She's forgetting to turn the burners off the stove. No more gourmet meals. But it's worse than that. Mary is showing signs of dementia. Joe is not only disappointed, Joe is pretty overwhelmed. He can't take care of this by himself. Then there's story number 2. And this is about Pete and Henry. Pete had lived in the same house 30 years. Used to have a wonderful garden. When he was younger, he coached some of the sports teams for the kids in the neighborhood. Then he retired. Then his wife died, and things started to change. At first, it was just the garden wasn't being kept up, and maybe the porch light hadn't been changed. But then he started to be abusive verbally to the children. People smelled alcohol on his breath. His hygiene was slipping. His neighbors, Henry especially, really hated to see this happen, wanted to help, but wasn't sure. But he found a way to help. And Pete is now stable, being sociable, no longer abusive, and engaged in his community. Story number 3. Story number 3 is about Peggy and Ann, 2 sisters who grew up here. They'd never been particularly close, but they were 7 years apart, so that wasn't surprising. Peggy married well, and she and her husband had 3 great kids, and they built a mother-in-law apartment for Peggy and Ann's mom, where Peggy's mom lived very nicely for years. Until one year when Peggy and the kids and husband were going off for a vacation, Ann made a suggestion that Mom come stay with her and her boyfriend for a week. It would be a nice change of pace. That seemed fine. Until a week turned into months. All of a sudden, Peggy would call and she couldn't talk to Mom. Mom wasn't talking to her friends. She was missing appointments. Then Peggy found out that a piece of property that had been in the family for generations and was destined to go to Peggy's children was up for sale. Peggy was upset and not at all convinced that this was her mother's decision. All of these stories have one thing in common. The people involved called the North Shore Senior Center, and our clinical and family services were able to help them. We can help caregivers in so many situations, and caregiving has become a huge issue for adults. If you worry or think about someone for more than 2 hours a week, phone calls, errands, just worrying, you're probably a caregiver. And you may be a caregiver to a neighbor or a parent, a sister, somebody at church, and you may be worried and we can help. Everybody wants to be independent, and seniors are no exception. But there are specific challenges that can come with growing older. And we have professionals that know about these challenges. We can help with meal delivery, we can help with housekeeping, we can help with counseling. We know the resources that are available. Some may be at no charge, some may be fee-based. We can figure that out. That's what we do. It's very hard to know what to do when you're faced with it for the first time. And we can help you with that. We can help if people want to stay in their community Knowing that that community may change. It may be in the house they lived in, it may be in assisted living, it may be in a retirement community. It may change, and we can help you with those changes as well. We've done this for over 50 years. Please don't hesitate to contact us. You won't be the first time, and we can help you find a happy ending. And you can call 847-784-6000, and we will connect you with someone in clinical and family services. Thank you.